I want to begin where Mr. Michaels left off. We talked about how the hand is positioned and what I think you referred to it as clenched. Is that the term that you used?
Well, I didn't, but you can.
Flexed.
That's fine.
Flexed? That's the
Or I
word
did
you
use the word flexed at one point, yes.
Okay. And yeah, you gave an example with the fingers into the palm.
A fist, we call that.
Fingers wrapped, the thumb wrapped around the fingers, and one was the thumb between two fingers.
Okay.
Two fingers,
Now,
just two fingers.
You can use me as an example. When our hands are just hanging loose, are our hands straight out like this, or is it natural that they are curved?
I didn't understand the question.
Sure. When your hands are just
Sure.
naturally by your side, you're not moving at all. You see the position of my hands?
Yes,
All right. Is that just as we walk?
I
along,
feel like
that's
he's
just
wearing
the
a
way our
people
hands are,
mask.
right?
right. That's a neutral position.
Okay. I was looking for the chart.
Right.
So a neutral position is, that's why
This
Lego
guy's
figures look
human
like
suit
this.
is falling off his face.
Go
That's
like
what I
this,
was
right?
thinking.
Just hanging out.
I don't know what you mean by a Lego
Well, you
figure.
said this is the neutral position, right?
When you said Lego, did you mean like the toy, the
Yeah,
LEGO?
that one, that's where their hands went.
Oh, okay, that's lost on me.
No. All right. But the
On
hands
my
say Lego,
planets, we
that
don't have
toy?
Legos.
I've never heard of
straight
them.
out, right?
Right, that's
And
extended.
they're not flexed or clutched,
right,
right?
right.
They're a neutral position, so just kind of halfway in between.
Right, okay.
Now, you would agree that when we looked at the photograph of Mr. Olson's right hand, that the hand in a neutral position would also place the fingers out of the cone of stippling that impregnated his back of his hand and his
Impregnated.
the ulnar area that you called
That's the radial side.
radial side, right? So if the hands are in a natural position, the fingers would also be out of the cone, correct?
Well, I wouldn't quite agree with that because in the photograph where I pointed out that the position of the lens and the position of the muzzle were almost the same, you could see the proximal phalanx of the four fingers. They were in view. That was a neutral position. Things tend to assume a neutral position after death, even though there's rigor mortis. So that photograph was a neutral position and there was no stippling on the skin.
All right, so I'm going to use my right hand.
I'm
Here,
gonna use
right?
my right hand.
And you know that the path was front to back, left to right, right?
For the wound path through the torso.
Right. And we have,
Not very much left to right, pretty much
Yeah.
front to back.
okay. But as we move, then this is not going to be exposed, correct?
As you move what?
If you have, everything's dynamic, right? When you're shot,
Life is
it's
change.
a stationary, almost like a picture, right? But if our position can be anywhere before we're shot, so if it's a little bit front to back, a little bit left to right, if the hand is in the neutral position, as you say, then the fingers are not going to be in a position to have the stippling, correct?
Well, the way you have your hand position, it's a neutral position for the fingers, but they would be exposed to gunpowder.
The gunpowder is from here to here, correct?
In the photograph, right?
Okay, and there's nothing on the fingers.
So something was either shielding those fingers or they were flexed so that the fingers were not subjected to the gunpowder.
And they could be flexed in the neutral position, could they not?
Well, that's an oxymoron. They're either flexed, extended, or they're in a neutral position.
It's an oxymoron, and you're an actual moron.
Let's talk about in the neutral position. It's also consistent with being in a neutral position, is it not?
What is?
No, he said.
When the person was shot and the stippling that we see is also consistent with the hand being in a neutral position, is it not?
The only way to make it into a neutral position is to have the hand bent so far this way that the fingers are not exposed, and then the wound path across the wrist would then be angled. So it doesn't work.
The wound path is approximately right here, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And so we have the straight line, right? So we have this that bends, right?
Yes.
All right. So if this is flexing.
He's trying to say Chad was gay?
Here,
Yeah. If he had weak wrists
Here.
like me,
it could be like that and still have the straight path, correct?
no.
That wound on the wrist was actually a little bit at the base of the thumb. So if you bend the wrist, the wound path, the area where the bullet went, is going to move a little bit. So again, it doesn't work.
Joe K84 says, "Hey Nick, fun fact: you currently have roughly 40 times the live viewers as the Ralpha male. Lol. Aw, aw, that's too bad." I like how Chinless was just like desperately trying to get him to agree. No, his hand might have been in a neutral position, right? No, but it could be. Nope. Well, what about nuh-uh?
And they got lucky. Defense got lucky with that grazing hand wound
Yep.
because it lines up the hand with the body.
And sometimes that's how it goes, right? Like you have that thing and it saves you, or you don't and it doesn't. That was the thing with Rosenbaum, right? Like the fact that he wasn't wearing a shirt allowed some of the stippling to show how close his body was, in addition to his hand.
Hey, before they put that skeleton back in storage, I hope they check to make sure the chin is still there.
He turns around, he's got it taped onto his face.
Your Honor,
Page 11,
What?
15.
what's
You
everyone
remember
looking at?
testifying in a previous hearing?
Yes,
Right? And that time you were placed under oath
yes,
and testified as you have here?
yes.
Page 1115, line 17 through 25, page 1.
Prosecution going to cherry pick individual words now.
Lines 1 through 5. Now, we were talking about the stippling, and we've been talking about whether or not it would be on the fingers. And the other possibility is just the cone did not go that far, correct? The cone of stippling. It just didn't spread that far, correct?
No, we know how far the cone spread because of the spread on the forearm. So
Okay.
the only way for it not to have stippling at an equal distance on the fingers is if the fingers were flexed and out of the way, or if the fingers were shielded by an intermediary object.
At that hearing, do you remember being asked this question?
Yeah. So what they're going to argue over here is basically what you were saying. They're going to try and pick out, according to the defense, don't know if they're right. The prosecution is going to try and pick out some individual word that they think is inconsistent with his testimony today. But an individual word being inconsistent isn't actually inconsistent if it's lodged within an idea that is overall consistent with the testimony. So for a proper impeachment, you have to have an actual impeachment of the concept or idea, not just a particular semantic disagreement. So you're muted.
It's not a matter of gotcha. It's the previous hearing that the doctor might have said, well, it would be really unlikely that could happen. What he means is impossible. He's just being clearer here.
I love when your mic is muted because every time I tell you that you're muted, you have the same look on your face when you go to unmute. It's like,
Do you remember testifying in a previous hearing?
Yes,
All right, and you were asked questions under oath,
yes,
and you were giving your medical opinions during that particular hearing, were you not?
yes,
And it's important, wouldn't you agree that that you provide accurate
Precise.
information to the jury?
sure.
Now, before we went up to the bench, I asked you about is the lack of the stippling on the fingers, is that consistent with the cone of stippling not being that wide? And your response was that, yes, we know the cone of stippling because on the wrist. Remember that?
On the forearm.
Perhaps
That's
you
what
can
you
show me
just
the
said.
transcript.
Huh?
I don't remember it. Maybe you can show me the transcript.
No, sir. That's what you just said 5 minutes ago. We know the cone of stippling because we can see it on the wrist, right? I mean, on the forearm. You just said that.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Okay. Now, at that hearing, I asked you, all right, it's also consistent with the muzzle being at such a distance from the wrist that the cone is so small in diameter that it just didn't cover past the knuckles, correct? His fingers could have been out and the stippling just didn't make it that far because it's so close. Answer, yes. Do you remember saying that?
No, but I don't dispute that. That's in the transcript.
All right. Mr. Michaels went through a series of questions regarding the vulnerability of certain parts of the human anatomy, including the head area and the torso area. So I'd like to go through those with you, all right?
Sure.
oh God.
Why?
I'm going to use very layman terms. You can use the medical terms to put it in what I'm talking about, okay?
Sure.
All right. Now, I'm going to go through the injuries that you talked about, and I'm just going to bullet them out first, okay? And then we'll talk about them. You
Oh,
talked
good.
about the left and right temporal area, correct?
I did.
Where the bone is thin?
Yes.
Okay. You also talked about the orbital sockets of the eyes?
Yes.
Right. You also talked about the nasal cavity?
Yes.
And you talked about the cheeks where the muscles underneath the bone. Remember that testimony, that area right
Yes.
here? Okay. You also talked about the neck, not only the hitting in the side of the neck, and you used the skeleton to show how that can result in spinal fluid going where it's not supposed to be, right?
I did talk about spinal fluid, but I didn't talk about spinal fluid going where it's not supposed to be. I talked about blood going into where
Blood.
spinal fluid is supposed to be.
Very good. Thank you. All right. And then we talked about the jaw being broken.
Yes.
Okay.
Oh my God.
What about the liver and the spleen, the testes?
I'd like to talk about the testes a lot
talk
more,
about-
please.
Love that word, testes.
Can you show me on the me where the testes are?
Hope he's going to ask him to draw again. I hope he doesn't ask him to draw a vagina. He may never have seen one.
Sir, are you drawing a vagina? No, this is an orchid. What are you talking about? Monolary says, poll, what's more annoying? One, using phone for a minute during previews, or two, 87 million pen clicks during trial. Baines32 says, my contribution to help arm and provision the Ricada readout. Thank you. Thank you. Hopefully it'll be unnecessary. But we'll see. And yes, as I've done periodically through the day, guys, Law and Crime, their strike is still pending. It is supposed to happen at some time today. The operating theory is it'll be sometime around 6 p.m., as that's when the original copyright email was received 7 days ago, right at 5:54 p.m.
When we see a
Central
little
Time.
mushroom cloud over Spicer, we'll know.
Yes. That'll be me.
Little
losing my
digital
temper.
mushroom cloud, virtual mushroom cloud.
I'll be, I'll exhume Chad and shoot him again out of anger. Okay. We've got, there was at Great US over on Odyssey says, WTF you doing PSA? Evil persists because people allow and support it. Example, people keep paying anti-American YouTube $5 who take 30% of their hard-earned every month when you can easily sign up for his locals who take 10% and have occasionally, when disorganized, Nick can get more exclusives uploaded. So there you go. So yeah, what he's saying is you can join over on locals where there's exclusive content, exclusive live streams that are only available over there. There's you know, and it also gets you access to the Discord. Sword Caliber says, gave you all my Libri coin yesterday, but how much to hear No Chin say some Elmer Fudd lines? You got to give me the line. Be very quiet. I'm hunting rabbits. CC says, Branca drew a peen in my book. Autographed with a penis. Let's see. This is not a channel. Says an idea for a meme review. Odyssey allows memes to be posted in the comments. It also allows you to create a post without video. You can make a meme review post and send everyone to that post. It would be a grand, endless meme haven. Jelly Miss says this is why the state should be required to pay lawyers' fees on not guilty. Fuck being able to bankrupt someone on no basis. And 4 Doors More Horror says 1,000 rumbles. Please stay humble. Dr. 0365, it puts the lotion on its skin, else it gets the hose again. 12345 says, my name is Jeff. Hi, Jeff. How are you? Where'd we go? Oh my goodness, we're up to 1,175 rumbles over on Rumble. Very cool. Guys, if you're over on Rumble, go ahead and hit that little plus button. That helps push us into the top Rumble videos of the day. Rumble does not categorize. They have their little competition stack for their live streams. They don't categorize them by live viewers. They categorize them by the number of people who click that stupid plus button. So it legitimately helps over on Rumble. I mean, it theoretically helps on YouTube as well, but on Rumble, it actually does put you into a different category. So it's very cool. Thank you for everybody who takes a moment to click that button. Okay, what should I have here, Branca? I've got Bushmills Irish whiskey. I've got 2 different Lagavulins. I've got a Distiller's edition and the Nick Offerman edition. And then I have some Michter's special rye, I think. Which one should I have? What do you think?
I'm afraid I don't drink the brown liquor, so I can't be of much help.
Well, I'm not asking what you would drink. You're just supposed to pick any one of the 4.
Oh, I wasn't really listening to the names. The third one.
Okay. Third one sounds good. That was this one. That was a Lagavulin Nick Offerman edition. So that's what we're going with.
I hear it's excellent.
It is.
I heard it
It's
from
very
you.
good. Oh, well, then that's not reliable at all. My whiskey reviews all come out the same. I like it. It's good. except for like 3 of them, which were really particularly bad. I even liked the military special scotch once I got used to it. And that's saying something. Oh my gosh. Curtis Reeves is just counting down the seconds on his biological clock. Spending the last days here. Rather be in prison, shooting chads everywhere. I'm still alive. Yes, Sadie. Thank you. I'm going to have to send you a bottle of the finest clear liquor I can find. Here's an $8 bottle of Popov vodka.
A gallon of it.
Oh, wait, yeah, like this. I do have this. Here, I'll blow it up so you can see this jug of military special.
Vodka slash paint remover.
Handcrafted ultra premium vodka. Does have a fighter jet, a battleship, a tank, and a guy saluting a flag on it.
Powerful stuff. Must be 100 proof.
No, it's only 80.
Oh, I guess the 100 has like ICBMs on the front.
Yeah. Is there any chance this judge is getting blowback for incompetence? No.
She's probably been doing this for 20 years.
Nick, the picture on Rumble is much clearer than locals. What picture? I'm not streaming to locals right now. You mean on YouTube? I've heard the stream over on Rumble has better audio. But I have no idea. Oh, then on YouTube? Yeah, I've heard the stream on Rumble is better, but I don't know. I mean, I send out the signal at 1080. So whatever compression they do is on them. Do you still like me? I'm trying to cross-examine him, okay, but am I doing well? I'm just a little unsure of myself. Curtis Reeves is contemplating how the judge keeps clicking so loud in the microphone. How does she do that? Back when I was born, we didn't have pens. We had slate and chisel. You know, if you think this trial is expensive for Curtis Reeves, just think of how expensive it is for the wife, the widow, right? She's paying that lawyer to sit there for 70 hours and do literally nothing. He's just sitting there.
I don't know. Is she paying him? I don't know about that.
He's there every day for the whole time.
Yeah, but he may not have much going on.
That's true. Sometimes you're a colossal dick and it's hilarious.
I mean, that hair definitely looks like working too hard, trying too hard.
When we talked about your previous testimony regarding the stippling on the hand, we talked about what you testified to at a previous hearing and what you testified here today. Let me just ask you 1 or 2 questions about that topic, okay?
Sure.
So you know where we're going.
And I asked you to look at the transcript so I can see the context and not just the isolated quote.
Maybe your attorney would want to do that. I don't know.
That's not a good answer.
That's a bad answer.
Statement, you would agree with me now that you've seen that statement. Or
I would definitely touch on that if I were the defense.
yes, that.
And he didn't show him the transcript. He just read it to
Being
him.
in such a manner so that when the cone actually spreads, it doesn't hit the fingers. That is also consistent with no stippling on the fingers, correct?
Well, first of all, I don't understand the question the way you've constructed it. And secondly, you're referring to testimony in the transcript, which you won't let me look at. So you can repeat it every time if you want, or you can let me look at it. But at this point, I don't remember the wording in it because I can't see it.
Oh, he just wrecked
Read it
him.
to you. It was something about the word.
I
you didn't
read it to
understand.
you.
I read it to you. It was something about,
Me now. I don't remember exactly what the wording of the sentence was.
that was 2017, folks, 5 years ago.
By the way, this is a real easy way to look really bad for no reason.
Here
He-
is that the witness is saying he doesn't remember.
His absolute resistance to show him the transcript is unbelievable.
To present it to Dr. Adams so he can refresh his recollection. It sounds like that's what we should be doing here.
yeah, every other time. Do you
I'll agree. Go ahead and show them.
do you ask him if they remember? They say no. Would it refresh your recollection if I showed you? Instead, he just represented this is what you said, absent any other context or anything else. It just makes you look untrustworthy before the jury for no discernible gain. Unless you don't have the point. And by the way, guys, that's one of the valuable aspects of hiring a very seasoned expert witness. He knew exactly, he's not a lawyer, but he knew exactly how to make that lawyer look like a douche before the jury. Even if he ultimately ends up being right, it's just a bad look because they've seen this, 15 times now in the trial. And this guy may have been in
Well,
the.
it looks like I didn't understand the question as you asked it. It
No,
was
I
clear at
object
this
to the,
point.
no, I object to the witnesses making any statement other than when I ask it.
All right. Fair enough. Ask the question.
He's trying to answer the question as to whether or not he.
I haven't asked the question.
Then what are you doing?
At this point, I don't know if there's a question pending. Ask the question again, please.
Did you have a chance to read the statement?
I did. I'd like to have it back so I can refer to it while I answer.
Did you have a chance to read the statement?
I said I did.
And do you agree that's what you said at a previous hearing?
What did he say?
The cone wasn't wide enough, that would be another reason for the stippling not to be on the fingers. That was your testimony at the previous hearing.
It probably was, although
Excuse me, Judge, that calls for a yes or no. Was it your testimony at the previous hearing?
I did not review this transcript after
Excuse me, Judge.
the hearing.
All right. Just,
So if we assume the transcript is correct, That's an
just
assumption.
let him answer. Let him answer. Go ahead.
All right.
this is totally dependent on the accuracy of the court report. This isn't like a deposition where I get the chance to review it and make an errata sheet. I had no opportunity to do that. And I had not seen this thing until very recently. So I can't vouch for the correctness of whether this is reported correctly.
What's your hourly fee? How much are you getting paid to be here today?
Same thing.
$4.50 what, an hour?
Yes.
And how many hours have you been here today?
I got here at noon.
All right, so it's 4 o'clock, $1,600?
Yeah, that sounds about right.
$1,600 in your pocket today. How many hours have you spent
1,800.
on this case prior to coming into this courtroom?
Lawyers can't do
Very
math.
exception.
Yes, sir.
I didn't look at the invoices, so I can't tell you. Recently, just preparing for this trial, it's probably
He's-
about 3 hours.
He's
And
pissed.
since the inception
Yeah.
of this trial, how much have you been paid?
I don't know because as I just said, I haven't looked at the invoices. I can't answer the question either for time or dollars.
All right, at the previous hearing, you would agree you were there about 4 hours also?
Sounds about right.
And prior to that previous hearing, you also had an opportunity to.
I never.
material And.
You always ask these questions, but they don't have the power that you think they would have. Everyone in the room is getting paid to be
for
there.
that time.
Yes.
So right now, we're at least at $3,200, another, what? Are we somewhere in the ballpark?
He
of
doesn't
what?
know though.
I don't know. What you say sounds good.
All right.
He already said I didn't look at the
And
invoices.
your
I have no
testimony
idea.
here today is.
I mean, in theory, you could pose the same question to the prosecutor, right? Are you being paid to be here today? Yeah.
Court reporter must be wrong and not you. Is that your
No.
testimony?
I didn't say that. I said I can't vouch for the accuracy. If it's accurate, then it looks like I didn't fully comprehend the question as you asked it.
All right, let's talk about
Because my
that.
opinions haven't changed.
He tried to
Then I
talk
would
about
like
it and you
this.
got pissed.
All right, well, let's talk about that. At the time of the previous hearing, did you have an opportunity to say, Mr. Martin, I didn't understand that, like you've done a couple times here today?
I did.
All right, and in that particular section, you've read it. Did you say, Mr. Martin, I don't understand that question? You
I didn't
didn't
get-
do that, did you?
I don't think so, but I didn't get the chance to turn the page and see what was on the next page.
Thank you, no further questions.
Redirect?
Thank you, Judge.
Just
Just,
Let him
just a
say
quick
what-
question on redirect. That guy's a dick, isn't he?
yeah. They've just been waiting for him to get done so they can bury him in stupidity.
Sit down. Sit down, please, Dr. Adams.
You may.
I'm sorry, I saw you shake your head. I didn't hear it. This is Exhibit 60. This is what we were talking about. You see this?
Yes, that's the same photograph, just a print form.
All right, now let's talk about this whole issue with testimony in the prior hearing. Why on this photo is it impossible that this stippling,
This is right out of my cousin Vinny.
lack of stippling on
Yep.
the fingers was caused by having this hand closer to the barrel? What about the
Doctor,
tilt?
did this hand make instant grits?
Well, the cone I mentioned is the gunpowder.
Are you sure about that 3 minutes?
And not a cylinder, but a cone. Is the farther from the muscle, the farther they disperse, the wider the dispersion.
Let me interrupt you for a second. So the middle of the cone is where the bullet comes out.
Yes, so the
So
flying
this-
bullet is surrounded by flying pieces of gunpowder.
So this injury right here is the bullet.
Yes, that's the center of the cone, if you will. And we can see here that the stippling extends out this far on the forearm. If you take that same distance over here, that measurement goes out to the
I think this guy's billable rate just went up.
color of the fingers.
And if we had a muzzle that was closer, would we see the stippling out here?
No, the stippling would be concentrated. Those stipples would be closer together, but not spread out so much. Just the same number, actually more, because the gunpowder that didn't hit the hand because it went beneath it, some of that in a concentrated cone would actually be on the wrist of the hand.
And we don't know from what you read, what you were shown, what photos or anything else that were shown to you at that point to ask you that question, do we?
No,
At the prior hearing.
But looking at this photo, what you're saying is it within a degree of medical certainty?
yes.
You understand?
One question?
Are you done?
Yes.
No.
I'll allow it.
When you answered the question at the previous hearing, was it also to a reasonable degree of medical certainty?
Everything I said in that hearing was to a reasonable degree of certainty unless I specified otherwise.
Thank you.
Just based on that, Your Honor, I get the last.
You do get the last word. Your witness.
But again, in terms of the context of that statement, even whether the statement is accurate, that doesn't change your opinion today looking at the photo, does it?
Will this witness be released?
That was a bad look by the state.
All right, thank you.
Subject to
Doctor.
recall, but
Thank you,
If
Judge.
if you should get called back, you have to come.
Yes.
Thank you.
Your Honor, I don't know if you heard or not, I apologize, Mr. Escobar reminding me. I said subject to